Ladies and gentlemen, very welcome to the Tony Onying Show. Today I'm right here with Madame Gloria from Makerere University, and we are here to discuss a very important and interesting topic that is none but depression and trauma. We've all heard about depression, we've all heard about trauma, but of course, as a psychologist in the making, in the society, Gloria is going to take us a bit on what this trauma concept and the depression aspect is all about. Gloria.
Yes, please. Thank you, Tony. I first of all greet viewers. Hi, hope you're doing well. When we come back to trauma and depression, these are the basic or the diseases that we get, and we can't easily treat them unless we share with our counselors, we share with our friends, so that we can realize that we are not in it alone. Actually, there are very many people that are struggling with it. Yeah, thank you.
Gloria, is depression and trauma disease? I just heard you talk about diseases that you struggle with. Why do you regard that as a disease?
Yeah, actually, we may regard it as a disease because most of the times when you develop it or when you have it, you get certain signs that shows maybe you have a skin rash, you may have headache all the time, so we refer that as a disease.
So what you're saying is that with the depression you can develop bodily rashes and things like that?
Actually, body changes, like you develop certain changes on your body of which you don't expect. If I talk about the rashes, you may develop the skin rash of which it may show that you're depressed, but other people rush to hospital not realizing what they are really sick of.
I think, guys and ladies out there, I think what we are facing right now, and that Gloria is trying to raise, is that there are certain times that, think about the wrinkles on your face, think about the bad looks and all those kind of situations triggered by a situation. So she's looking up to that as some of the symptoms that could indicate a bit of a traumatic or some sort of a depressive scenario, which means there are things that we can actually avoid without having to seek medication.
Yeah, there are very many things that we can avoid as people, that we don't need to actually go to hospital to get medicine or what, unless you go to get guidance and counseling, unless you go to meet maybe the therapist.
I remember one of the days a friend of mine had a family member who was depressed. So I got a bit shocked and I asked her, how long has this depression been? She told me that the depression was there for almost a year. Why would someone be depressed for as long as that?
Actually, it can even take more than 5 years.
More than 5 years?
Yeah, not only 1 year.
This is a bit interesting.
If you don't realize it quickly or you notice it early, it can take even more than 5 years.
Wow, that is a bit disturbing. And you know the other thing, Gloria, I'm just trying to imagine whether there are actually medications for this kind of scenario, trauma and depression. Are there any medications?
Yeah, there are certain medications that you can use. That is when you meet a therapist. So if you meet a counselor can't treat you like a therapist. So a counselor can guide you on how you can protect yourself, or you can control yourself from being depressed. Then later on, a counselor can still refer you to a therapist, of which a therapist can continue and give you medication.
Now, just imagining, in my layman's understanding, depression is triggered, trauma is triggered. There are events, there are situations that you remember back in the past, something that really hurt you, you lost a loved one, and you lived with that kind of a memory. I'm just trying to imagine what kind of tablet it is that you take and you forget that moment. Just try to take us through this.
Well, those tablets, they are different. Like how you go to hospital, they give you Panadol. How you go to hospital, they give you maybe aspirin, they give you maybe quinine. So those are kind of medicines they give you, not basically for depression, but they just give you to maybe if you overthink and that brings you depression, they give you that medicine so that you can
stop thinking.
Not really, but remember when you overthink, you end up developing maybe headache, you end up feeling weak all the time. You want to sleep. That's the kind of medicine they give you.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, my understanding, I'm pretty sure somebody else shares the same sentiment with me, that when I take medicine for headache, I am trying to relieve the headache.
Yeah.
When I take medicine for stomach pain, I'm trying to relieve the stomach pain. So now I'm taking medicine for trauma, and trauma is because I'm trying to get out of a situation that really hurt me, something that happened, and you know, all those kind of things. So I'm imagining the medication that I take is meant to make me recover.
Yeah.
And recovery
exactly.
means, in this scenario, recovery means I have to forget. I have to think about positivity. Just because, and what is interesting, you mentioned that it is a therapist that gives that. So is there a scenario before you are given a medication? What does the therapist do so that you're able to move on with the medication?
Well, by the time a counselor refer you to a therapist, there is assessment. There is an assessment that you do. So the therapist will follow that assessment that a counselor has done with a client.
Okay.
So you follow the steps they went through, so that you can be able to know these are the prescribed medicines that I have to give this client.
Okay.
So even the therapist does not immediately go or start giving you medicine before noticing or going through the assessments.
Before going through the assessments.
Yeah.
Now, two fundamental things here, Madam Gloria, that you raise. You raise the aspect of depression, then you
Yeah.
also raise the aspect of trauma.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
For depression, for this one, it can come anytime.
Depression comes anytime.
Yeah, it comes anytime. Maybe you are a parent, you fail to raise school fees for your children, you're overthinking. Every time you see your children home, you feel like they will never study. So all that comes into your mind and you be depressed. Every time you're thinking, you develop headache. Then for trauma,
What is the line between depression and stress?
stress actually comes from depression. So when you develop that, when you have that, when you're depressed, actually, it's when you find people saying that I'm stressed. I don't know what's up, because trauma and depression, they are all signs of stress.
But remember, in stress, what I understand is that there is the positivity, there is the positive aspect of stress, and then there is the negative aspect of stress. You could be stressed at workplace because there is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Would that lead to depression?
It actually can, because once maybe your boss is not treating you well, maybe your workmates are not taking you, or they are not considering you to be part of them, you develop that stress that can even when someone sees you, you end up developing those signs of a depression. But at workplace, what I really know about depression and trauma, for trauma, it might be not come from that side of work, but for depression, it can come from everywhere, anywhere.
So where does trauma come from?
Trauma mostly come from, most of the times people develop that trauma from childhood. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
from childhood, or even when you have grown, you may be like 10, 12, or you've seen something strange of which you've tried to stop or to forget it, but you really can't. And maybe that was maybe accident, that was maybe a loss of a loved one. So it remains in you, you overthink about it. Yeah.
I think I get it right now. So I was just trying to imagine a sentence construction in my mind where I am saying I'm stressed.
Yeah.
This work is too much. I am traumatized by the death of my sister.
Yeah.
So trauma is deeper than depression.
Yeah, trauma is actually deeper than depression.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to reach to the end of the show. But of course, all of you out there watching, you definitely know this is a situation we all deal with at our respective workplaces, in our families, so many possible triggers, which of course I know Madam Gloria will be able to share with us. But for those of you who may want to get in touch with us, we also have our email, our phone numbers. You will check it right at the bottom of your screen later on at the end of this session. So Gloria, maybe the other thing I would like us to inform our viewers is something to do with the ratio of men and women. Who do you consider more traumatized? Who do you consider more depressed?
I actually consider women to be more depressed, only that at a certain point, women always share their problems with friends, and once you share a problem with
You
a
can
friend,
get over it.
you get over it because you realize you're not actually alone in it. You realize there are very many people that are like you, so you start feeling relieved.
So the cases, are you saying that the cases of men hanging themselves there is because we keep this kind of scenarios to ourselves?
Yeah, men don't always share. For them, when they happen to have such scenarios, instead some go and drink, some go and maybe start cheating on their wives, thinking that maybe the stress or that problem is coming from home. Yet in natural sense,
They sort of seek revenge and all those kind of things.
Yeah, but in natural sense, when you share it with your wife, when you share it with your friend, you end up feeling relieved.
There has been a saying that sometimes when you're depressed, you have to cry over it and get over it. Is
Actually, there are very many different ways of how many different people can get relieved of that. Because some may be depressed or may get a certain problem, but when they cry, they tell you, I'm now somehow. I feel relieved.
You feel a bit relieved.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a common practice in relationship.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been it for us today. Of course, thank you for always tuning in to the Tony and Ying Show, proudly brought to you by the Panton Concerts Africa, creating opportunities beyond boundaries. So, Gloria, thank you so much for joining us in the show today. And maybe somebody somewhere there would be wondering whether they could get in touch with you. I don't know whether it's okay for you to share your contact online.
That's very good. It's well with me. You can get me from 0779 63 83 26.
All right, thank you very much. So what you can do, you can just add the country code for Uganda plus 256 and then 77, that number that she's given out to you. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot so much. And of course for joining us in the show. Gloria, we are always privileged to host you every single time. Thanks for always appreciating our invites.
Thank you so much, Tony. I'm always glad to be in Pinton Studio.
Thank you very much, guys, ladies, gents, wherever you are. That has been it for the day. And of course, we shall come back with many more. Don't forget to subscribe. The Tony Onying Show, proudly brought to you by the Pinton Concerts Africa Limited. We are right here broadcasting from Uganda, the part of Africa, in East Africa. Wishing you guys all the best and enjoy the rest of the day.
Love you.
Thank you. Love you guys. Bye-bye. Thanks, Gloria.
You're welcome.